A U.S. Air Force aircraft electronically impersonated a Malaysian plane while flying over the South China Sea this week. The RC-135W Rivet Joint reconnaissance aircraft flew off China's Hainan Island on Tuesday, coming within 55 miles of the Chinese mainland. U.S. RC-135W spy plane apparently can to fool China in South China Sea. The caper was outed on Twitter by a think tank operated by the Chinese government, which provided enough details for independent verification. The Twitter account of the South China Sea Probing Initiative shared a pair of screenshots that showed a RC-135W take off from Kadena Air Base, a U.S. Air Force base on the island of Okinawa. The plane flew southwest, following the Ryukyu Islands chain, past Taiwan, to loiter off the coast of Hainan Island. Plane's International Civil Aviation Organization or ICAO Mode S number, a 24-bit identifier assigned to all aircraft and broadcast by onboard transponder, was AOWS-1CE. The Mode S system provides big-picture situational awareness and improves aviation safety. At some point, the plane's Mode S number suddenly changed, from AEO-1CE to 750,548. That's the ICAO number for an unknown Malaysian aircraft. The RC-135W, call sign RAINY-51, then flew a racetrack pattern between Hainan Island and the Paracel Islands, an archipelago in the South China Sea that China claims, but whose ownership is in dispute. Here's another screenshot from a plane tracking app that shows the same flight. Aircraft sometimes broadcast the wrong Mode S number, though that's typically a mistake by the airplane operator. ICAO numbers aren't supposed to be changed, as that degrades overall confidence in the system. But the idea that someone's finger slipped and AEO-1CE accidentally became 750,548 seems extremely unlikely. The RC-135W Rivet Joint is a converted Boeing 707 jetliner designed to collect electronic intelligence for later analysis. Rivet Joint's modifications are primarily related to its onboard sensor suite, which allows the mission crew to detect, identify and geolocate signals throughout the electromagnetic spectrum. The mission crew can then forward gathered information in a variety of formats to a wide range of consumers via Rivet Joint's extensive communication suite. It's not clear why the RC-135W flew where it did. The flight probably coincided with Chinese military exercises, likely air or naval, or even a missile test. It's also worth pointing out that China's nuclear ballistic missile submarine force is based at Yulin on Hainan Island. It's also not clear why the RC-135W engaged in the deception. The reconnaissance is happening outside sovereign airspace. There is no pressing need to engage in that sort of deception. It's perfectly legal, and done in plain sight off the coast of Russia, Syria, and Crimea all the time literally. Every day there are RC-135s off the coast of Russia, with their transponders on, and broadcasting exactly who they are. I can't explain the difference with China. Why the difference in emissions posture and obfuscation? The South Sea Probing Initiative, a China-based think tank whose advisory board includes serving officers of the People's Liberation Army and Chinese Navy, first announced the imitation. Still, it appears the data is correct. The announcement is likely a warning to the Pentagon that the Chinese military sees through the deception, and that it's watching the watchers. Meanwhile, U.S. becoming driver of militarization in South China Sea. The Chinese government's senior diplomat, State Councilor Wang Yi, said on Wednesday the United States is directly intervening in territorial and maritime disputes in the South China Sea due to its own political needs. It is becoming the biggest driver of militarization in the region, Wang said. He made the remark in a video conference with foreign ministers at an ASEAN summit. Peace and stability is China's greatest strategic interest in the South China Sea. It is also the common strategic aspiration of China and ASEAN countries, Wang said in a statement posted on the Foreign Ministry's website. Wang said China is willing to communicate and have dialogue with the United States in order to achieve cooperation. Last month, The United States blacklisted 24 Chinese companies and targeted individuals it said were part of construction and military actions in the South China Sea, its first such sanctions move against Beijing over the disputed strategic waterway. Furthermore, China has announced new restrictions on the activities of U.S. diplomats working in mainland China and Hong Kong, in what it called a justified response to similar measures imposed on Chinese diplomats in the U.S. last year. In a statement posted online late Friday, a foreign ministry spokesperson said the rules would apply to senior diplomats and all other personnel at the American embassy in Beijing and consulates throughout China. However, the spokesperson said China supported normal exchanges and cooperation between all sectors of the two countries and said the restrictions could be lifted if the U.S. were to revoke the measures it imposed last October. Once again, we urge the U.S. side to immediately correct its mistakes and lift the unreasonable restrictions imposed on the Chinese embassy and consulates and their staff. China will make reciprocal responses to U.S. actions, the spokesperson, who wasn't identified, said. No details were given about the new restrictions. U.S. diplomats already face limits on what parts of the country they can visit and even access to college campuses. The U.S. rules require Chinese diplomats to report travel and meetings in what was seen as an attempt to prevent interference within the overseas Chinese community and foreign students. Washington has also complained about a lack of reciprocity in access to media, saying Chinese diplomats are able to put their views across U.S. outlets while America's representatives are shunned by Chinese state media. Most recently, the State Department protested over the refusal by the Communist Party's flagship newspaper People's Daily to publish an op-ed by Ambassador Terry Branstad. The paper responded that the piece did not meet its editorial standards. China-U.S. tensions over trade, technology and a multitude of other issues have increasingly spilled over into the areas of diplomacy and media, with the U.S. ordering the closure of the Chinese consulate in Houston in July. China responded by ordering the closure of the U.S. consulate in the southwestern city of Chengdu, a double blow because of the mission's key role in monitoring activities in the restive Himalayan region of Tibet. The U.S. also capped the number of Chinese citizens working for state media outlets in the U.S., leading to the effective expulsion of 60 reporters, and has reduced the length of visas for others from 1 year to 3 months. That has brought renewed pressure on U.S. outlets in China, and Beijing has delayed renewing credentials for several of their journalists pending a positive response from Washington.